Szklanka do połowy pełna. Posłuchaj o tym, co ukryte pod powierzchnią.
Witajcie słuchacze, to jest 80. odcinek podcastu Szklanka do połowy pełna. Czas na lżejszy temat. W dzisiejszym odcinku opowiadamy sobie o planowaniu wakacji 2025, trendach turystycznych z całego świata i praktycznych poradach, jak nie zbankrutować podczas urlopu. Zanim jednak zanurzymy się w świat wakacyjnych inspiracji, tradycyjne przypomnienie, jeżeli jeszcze tego nie zrobiliście, zasubskrybujcie Szklankę do połowy pełną na YouTubie, zaobserwujcie nas na Spotify przez link w opisie odcinka, wpadajcie także na moje social media, na Instagram Szklanka Spotify, gdzie codziennie dzielę się wakacyjnymi inspiracjami, na X Matrzeli, gdzie komentuję najnowsze trendy oraz na TikToka Szklanka do połowy pełna 1, gdzie co tydzień możecie posłuchać mojego podsumowania w SDPP. No to koniec ogłoszeń, a teraz przygotujcie się na prawdziwą podróż po świecie wakacyjnych trendów, statystyk i praktycznych porad, które sprawią, że wasza szklanka po powrocie z urlopu nadal będzie do połowy pełna. Naszą dzisiejszą podróż rozpoczniemy sobie od globalnego obrazu, ponieważ dane za 2025 rok są naprawdę imponujące. Międzynarodowa turystyka nie tylko odrodziła się po pandemii, ale osiąga zupełnie nowe rekordy. W 2024 na świecie podróżowało 1,4 miliarda międzynarodowych turystów, co oznacza wzrost o 11% w porównaniu z 2023. Kosmos, prawda? No właśnie. I Europa nadal króluje jako kontynent turystów. W 2024 przyjęła 747 milionów zagranicznych odwiedzających. To o ponad procent więcej niż w 2019 i aż o 5% więcej niż w 2023, co było wspierane przez silny popyt wewnętrzny na kontynencie. Bliski Wschód z kolei odnotował największy wzrost, bo aż o 32% w stosunku do 2019 z 95 milionami przyjazdów nowych turystów. Co fascynujące, kontynent afrykański przyjął 74 miliony turystów, co oznacza wzrost o 7% w porównaniu z 2019 i aż o 12% więcej niż w 2023. Lecąc dalej, musimy sobie również wspomnieć o kraju kwitnącej wiśni, czyli Japonii, która przeżywa prawdziwy fenomen turystyczny ze wzrostem przyjazdów o 47% dzięki osłabieniu jena i lepszej komunikacji. Światowa Organizacja Turystyki przy ONZ przewiduje, że silny popyt po pandemii będzie napędzać rozwój zarówno dojrzałych, jak i wschodzących kierunków również w 2025. Globalne wydatki na turystykę osiągnęły rekordowe poziomy, a ceny noclegów wzrosły o 10% od 2019 roku. Pomimo rosnących kosztów podróżni częściej wyjeżdżają, zostają na dłużej, no i wydają więcej pieniędzy. Ale teraz zejdźmy na ziemię i wróćmy do Polski, gdzie dzieje się naprawdę coś niezwykłego. Według najnowszych badań Centrum Badania Opinii Społecznej aż 61% Polaków planuje wyjazdy turystyczne w 2025 roku, choć to spadek o 3 punkty procentowe w porównaniu z rokiem ubiegłym. Co jednak najbardziej zaskakujące, wśród planujących wyjazdy tylko 41% stawia wyłącznie na wypoczynek krajowy, co oznacza spadek o 7 punktów procentowych. W Polsce zamierza wypoczywać 81% planujących co najmniej dwudniowe wyjazdy, co stanowi spadek o 1 punkt procentowy w porównaniu z deklaracjami na 2024 rok. Jednocześnie po raz kolejny wzrosło zainteresowanie turystyką zagraniczną. Wyjazdy zagraniczne planuje w tym roku połowa z nas, zamierzających skorzystać co najmniej jednego noclegu poza miejscem zamieszkania. A kiedy my, Polacy, podróżujemy? No cóż, według raportu Alliance Partners International Travel Confidence Index 2025 aż 78% z nas, Polaków, planuje wakacyjny wyjazd w okresie od czerwca do września. To jeden z najwyższych wyników w Europie. Zajmujemy trzecie miejsce ex aequo ze Szwajcarami, ustępując jedynie Włochom i Hiszpanom. Co ciekawe, wyprzedziliśmy już naszych zachodnich sąsiadów. W Niemczech na wakacyjny wyjazd szykuje się tylko 66% obywateli. Kolejne pytanie, jakie zadają sobie wszyscy z nas, którzy chcą odpocząć w tym roku, no to oczywiście budżet, jaki musimy przeznaczyć na taką wyprawę. No i według badań wynika, że budżet polskiej rodziny przeznaczony na wakacje w 2025 roku wynosi około 6431 zł na gospodarstwo domowe, co oznacza wzrost o około 1100 zł w porównaniu z rokiem ubiegłym. Teraz przechodzimy do najbardziej praktycznej części naszego odcinka. Każdy z nas zasługuje na odpoczynek niezależnie od stanu naszego portfela. Dlatego podzielimy sobie wakacyjne możliwości według budżetu do 1000, 3000 oraz powyżej 3000 zł na osobę. Zacznijmy sobie od tej podstawowej kwoty. Dla osób, które muszą liczyć każdą złotówkę, mam doskonałą wiadomość. Wakacje za mniej niż 1000 zł to nie jest żaden mit. Kluczem do sukcesu w małym budżecie jest jednak elastyczność. Podróżowanie poza sezonem, wybieranie mniej popularnych destynacji i korzystanie z transportu publicznego zamiast chociażby taksówek. Sprawdzone metody oszczędzania obejmują również nocleg w hostelach zamiast hoteli, gotowanie własnych posiłków oraz korzystanie z darmowych atrakcji turystycznych. Według portalu travelslow.pl przeciętny mieszkaniec Polski planuje odbycie 5 podróży w 2025 roku, na które mają się składać 2 podróże krajowe, 1 dalekodystansowa oraz 2 krótkie podróże zagraniczne. A teraz przejdziemy do tego średniego budżetu w granicach od 1000 do 3000 za osobę. To złoty środek, który pozwala na komfort, ale bez szaleństw. Strategia średniego budżetu to mądre kompromisy. Apartament zamiast hotelu, mieszanka restauracji i gotowania we własnym zakresie oraz wybór 1 lub 2 głównych atrakcji zamiast próby zobaczenia wszystkiego, co się da. Podróżowanie w grupie może znacznie obniżyć koszty dzięki dzieleniu wydatków na noclegi czy transport. Dla szczęściarzy z grubszym portfelem świat stoi otworem, ale nawet z dużym budżetem warto wydawać mądrze. Inwestujcie w unikalne przeżycia, a nie tylko drogie hotele. Na przykład kurs gotowania w Toskanii, lot balonem nad Kapadocją czy prywatny przewodnik to wspomnienia, które zostaną z Wami na całe życie. A kolejna porcja praktycznej wiedzy będzie dotyczyła tych, którzy podróżują ze strachem. Na pewno są wśród Was tacy, którzy denerwują się na samą myśl, że muszą udać się na choćby krótki lot samolotem. Lęki podróżnicze dotykają wielu z nas i nie jesteście w tym sami. Według Międzynarodowego Stowarzyszenia Transportu Lotniczego około 20% podróżnych doświadcza jakiegoś stopnia lęku przed lataniem. Z tego grona 1/5, czyli 4% wszystkich podróżnych cierpi na fobię, która czyni samą myśl o podróży lotniczej nie do zniesienia. Lęk przed lataniem dotyka nawet do 40% populacji krajów uprzemysłowionych. Chociażby w takich Stanach Zjednoczonych około 25 milionów ludzi doświadcza jakiejś formy lęku związanej z lataniem. Ale oto dobra wiadomość. Wśród Was większość, bo 57% ludzi, mimo lęków, zmusza się jednak do wejścia na pokład samolotu i podróżuje, poznając piękny świat. I jeżeli dalej się boicie, to posłuchajcie kilku naprawdę mocnych argumentów za tym, że latanie jest bezpieczne. Chociażby badanie MIT z 2024 roku wykazało, że latanie jest obecnie około 40 razy bezpieczniejsze niż było to w latach 60. XX wieku. Według analizy CBC News opartej na danych Narodowej Rady Bezpieczeństwa Transportu w zeszłym roku tylko 0,02% lotów krajowych było zaangażowanych w jakiekolwiek incydenty, nie mówiąc już o wypadkach. Jeśli te dane Was nie uspokoiły, no to posłuchajcie o sprawdzonych metodach radzenia sobie ze strachem. Obejmują one m.in. uczestnictwo w kursach dla osób bojących się latania, techniki oddychania i relaksacji oraz edukację o bezpieczeństwie lotniczym. Pamiętajcie, chociażby Federalna Administracja Lotnictwa obsługuje średnio 45 000 lotów dziennie, a rzeczywiste wypadki są niezwykle, ale to niezwykle rzadkie. A czy są na sali tacy, których mdli na myśl o rejsie statkiem? Do Was mówię szczury lądowe. Badanie Allianz Global wykazało, że 53% respondentów unika rejsów z powodu obaw związanych z głośnymi incydentami na statkach, strachu przed zachorowaniem, chorobą morską czy też katastrofą. Ale prawda jest taka, że nowoczesne statki wycieczkowe to praktycznie pływające miasta z najwyższymi standardami bezpieczeństwa. Jeżeli zaś chodzi o chorobę morską, czyli coś, na co żaden statek nie ma wpływu na morzu czy oceanie, no to są skuteczne sposoby na uniknięcie tej choroby. Obejmują one m.in. unikanie alkoholu przed podróżą, zażywanie odpowiednich leków przeciwwymiotnych przed poczuciem się źle już na pokładzie statku oraz pozostanie w centralnej części statku, gdzie odczuwa się najmniej ruchu. Badania pokazują, że podatność na morską chorobę zmniejsza się z czasem i doświadczeniem. Ale, wakacje to nie tylko loty samolotem i rejsy statkiem, to przede wszystkim spotkania z ludźmi. I teraz pomówmy sobie o tym, jak podróżujemy. Czy podróżujemy w parze, czy na przykład solo. Nasz wolny czas często planujemy razem z naszą drugą połówką, rodzeństwem czy przyjaciółmi, ale są wśród nas też tacy, którzy lubią po prostu odpocząć w samotności. Podróże solo przeżywają teraz prawdziwy boom. 58% ludzi planowało tak podróżować już w 2024 roku. Globalny rynek podróży solo był wart 482,5 miliarda dolarów w 2024 i przewiduje się, że wzrośnie on do 1508 miliardów do 2033 roku, czyli coraz częściej podróżujemy samotnie. No i z tych wielu samotnych podróżników większość stanowią podróżniczki, bo aż 84% z tych podróżujących solo to kobiety. Dlaczego ludzie wybierają podróże w pojedynkę? No cóż, 75% podróżuje solo dla osobistych korzyści, włączając w to samoopiekę, poprawę zdrowia psychicznego, no i taki ogólny zwiększenie ogólnego dobrostanu. Z tych, którzy podróżowali solo w 2024, 36% planuje kolejne 4 do 5 podróży solo w 2025 roku. Także jeżeli ktoś zasmakuje już tej podróży z samym sobą w świetnym towarzystwie, no to okazuje się, że przynajmniej tak mówią te badania, że kolejne podróże także traktujemy na serio i także wybieramy się w nie samotnie. Ale jest też druga strona medalu. Podróżujący solo płacą prawie 90% więcej niż pary podczas rezerwacji wakacji. Średnio podróżny solo płaci o 47% więcej niż osoba podróżująca w parze. W 2025 roku 62% ankietowanych planuje od 2 do 5 podróży solo w ciągu roku. Pogadaliśmy o podróżowaniu w pojedynkę, ale co z wycieczkami we dwójkę? Podróżowanie w parze ma swoje oczywiste zalety, no chociażby finansowe. Pary mogą dzielić koszty transportu, zakwaterowania, no i wielu atrakcji. Badania pokazują również, że podróże grupowe wzmacniają więzi społeczne, podczas gdy te podróże samotne sprzyjają bardziej rozwojowi osobistemu. Ja właśnie jestem przed swoją kolejną podróżą z moją drugą połówką i w zeszłym roku byliśmy w Kopenhadze. Jeżeli chcecie o tym posłuchać więcej, to dajcie mi znać, chętnie zrobię o tym odcinek. A z kolei w tym roku jedziemy wspólnie do czeskiej Pragi. Dajcie mi znać, co wy myślicie o podróżowaniu właśnie do takich miast, czy w dobie olbrzymiej komercjalizacji turystyki da się jeszcze spędzić ciekawy czas w takich miejscach jak Paryż, Barcelona czy na Majorce, gdzie po prostu jest zatrzęsienie turystów. Teraz z kolei czas na jedną z najstarszych debat wakacyjnych. Morze czy góry? Góry czy morze? Dajcie koniecznie znać w komentarzach pod odcinkiem. Zakopane czy Kołobrzeg? Międzyzdroje czy Szklarska Poręba? A może macie swoje sprawdzone miejsca na wypoczynek? Koniecznie napiszcie, gdzie w tym roku planujecie spędzić lato. A my wracamy do naszego odcinka. Pogadajmy teraz o trendach, które zdefiniują 2025 rok jako rok nowych trendów wakacyjnych. Pierwszy z nich to tak zwany night tourism, czyli turystyka nocna. To niezwykłe życie nocne, ale świadome zwiedzanie miejsc po zmroku sprawia, że coraz więcej ludzi szuka takiej rozrywki. Obserwacja gwiazd na pustyni w Maroko, czy polowanie na zorzę polarną w Islandii, a może wieczorne rejsy po sekwanie. To są właśnie te atrakcje, które teraz przyciągają turystów z całego świata. A drugi mega trend to tak zwane coolcations, czyli wyjazdy w chłodne miejsca jako odpowiedź na rosnące temperatury i ekstremalne fale upałów. Trzeci z kolei to destination dupes, wybieranie mniej uczęszczanych miejsc oferujących podobne doświadczenia co znane destynacje. Muszę wam się przyznać, że ja pamiętam właśnie, że ten trend zapoczątkował już mój tata wiele lat temu, kiedy jeździliśmy do Chorwacji jako taka alternatywa dla wyjazdu do Włoch czy na południe Francji. Było taniej, a równie pięknie i naprawdę ludzie byli przyjaźni. Innymi trendami może być właśnie zostanie też w kraju i chociażby skorzystanie z oferty polskich parków narodowych, takich jak Białowieża czy Karkonosze, które przyciągają turystów zarówno swoją fauną i florą, jak i możliwością aktywnego wypoczynku. Dodatkowo coraz więcej agroturystyk oferuje wysokiej jakości usługi połączone z autentycznymi doświadczeniami wiejskimi, co również przekłada się na zwiększoną ilość turystów. No i tak dotarliśmy do finału naszej wakacyjnej podróży przez 2025 rok i jego trendy. Podsumujmy sobie więc najważniejsze wnioski z dzisiejszego odcinka. Po pierwsze, świat naprawdę wrócił do podróżowania na pełnych obrotach. 1,4 miliarda turystów w 2024 roku i rekordowe przychody z turystyki. Po drugie, wakacje może mieć każdy i na każdy budżet, od elastycznego planowania po luksusowe doświadczenia. Po trzecie, strach przed podróżowaniem dotyka wielu z nas. 20% boi się latania, ale są sprawdzone metody radzenia sobie na te lęki. Po czwarte, podróżowanie solo to prawdziwy fenomen. 58% planuje podróże w pojedynkę, choć płacą oni więcej w trakcie tych wojaży. Po piąte, czekam na wasze komentarze, co wy myślicie o debacie morze versus góry. Co wam się podoba bardziej? Czy szum fal, czy też oglądanie górskich przełęczy? I wreszcie po szóste, ale nie mniej ważne, pamiętajcie o nowych trendach w 2025 roku, takich jak night tourism, coolcations oraz coraz większe zainteresowanie naturą i zrównoważonym takim etapem, w którym turystyka staje się coraz bliższa natury i stąd też coraz więcej ludzi wykorzystuje agroturystykę. I to by było na tyle w 80. odcinku podcastu Szklanka do połowy pełna. Mam nadzieję, że macie już zaplanowany urlop i spakowane walizki. Koniecznie dajcie mi znać, gdzie najchętniej spędzacie wolne letnie dni. A jeśli spodobał wam się ten odcinek, to wesprzyjcie Szklankę do połowy pełną, klikając obserwacje na Spotify, subskrypcje na YouTube. Temat wakacyjny jest naprawdę szeroki, także jeśli chcecie, żebym zrobił kolejne odcinki, na przykład na temat podróży do miejsc zbrodni, czy miejsc nawiedzonych przez duchy, to koniecznie dajcie łapkę w górę i komentarz pod odcinkiem. Do zobaczenia na X, Matrzeli, na Instagramie, Szklanka Spotify, czy w podsumowaniu tygodnia w SDPP na TikToku, Szklanka do połowy pełna 1. Od tego tygodnia możecie mnie również znaleźć jako podcast Szklanka do połowy pełna bezpośrednio na Facebooku, wpisując w wyszukiwarkę facebookową frazę Szklanka do połowy pełna, a tam odnośniki do wszystkich portali i social mediów podcastu. Dzięki, że byliście dzisiaj ze mną w tej wakacyjnej podróży. Bądźcie bezpieczni, uśmiechajcie się, a my słyszymy się jak zawsze już niedługo.
So, have you started dreaming about your 2025 vacation yet? Like, what does your ideal escape really look like? Is it maybe lounging on a sun-drenched beach or scaling some majestic mountain peak, perhaps immersing yourself in a vibrant new culture, or, maybe something a little more unexpected, like exploring a city entirely by night? Well, get ready, because in this deep dive, we're taking a whole stack of recent reports, some really cutting-edge research, and fascinating insights. We want to give you a shortcut, basically, to being super well-informed about the future of travel. Our mission today is specifically to unpack and understand this ever-evolving landscape of holidays in 2025. We're looking at global trends, Polish preferences, what they tell us about travel habits, also how to budget smartly for any adventure, what common fears might be holding people back, popular travel styles right now, and some really innovative concepts that are, they're poised to redefine our adventures next year.
And it's definitely a vital mission.
Yeah.
Because the world of travel is just so dynamic, right?
Yeah.
And the sources we're drawing on for this deep dive, they're truly illuminating. They offer a really comprehensive look at what's driving the industry. We've meticulously pulled from, everything. From the big UN World Tourism Organization's global predictions. They're the leading international body setting benchmarks and forecasts, all the way to detailed Polish consumer surveys from places like CBOS. That's the Center for Public Opinion Research. They're an independent polling agency known for really deep insights into social trends, economic stuff. So it's a rich tapestry of data. And it promises not just, surprising facts, but genuinely practical advice. Advice you can absolutely use right now to shape and plan your very next adventure.
All right, let's dive into the sheer scale of what's happening globally first, because the data for 2025 and the projections coming out of 2024, honestly, they're eye-popping. We are seeing nothing short of this immense rebound in international tourism. It's, frankly, dramatically exceeded a lot of expectations. This isn't just recovery we're talking about. It feels more like a profound reawakening.
You're absolutely right. The numbers, they tell an incredibly powerful story. It's not just recovery. It's aggressive growth, renewed confidence. In 2024 alone, we saw an astonishing 1.4 billion international tourists moving around the globe. That's a staggering 11% increase compared to 2023. It shows this incredible acceleration in travel activity. But what's maybe even more significant, and it really highlights the industry's resilience, is that this isn't just getting back to pre-pandemic levels. It actually exceeded those strong 2019 figures by a remarkable 15%.
15% above 2019.
Exactly. This full recovery, hitting and even surpassing those previous peaks, it signifies a really robust return of traveler confidence. There's this deep-seated global desire to explore, to reconnect, experience new places. The tourism industry isn't just back on its feet. It feels like it's sprinting forward, propelled by pent-up demand and maybe a reprioritization of experiences.
That is an astonishing bounce back. But with this kind of global surge, it makes me wonder, which specific regions are really leading the charge here? Is it the usual suspects? Or are there any unexpected powerhouses making a surprising surge, maybe challenging our traditional ideas of popular spots?
That's a great question, and we definitely see a bit of a mix. Europe, maybe unsurprisingly, given its perennial appeal and, that dense network of established tourist spots, it continues to reign as the continent of choice. In 2024, it welcomed a massive 747 million foreign visitors. Huge numbers. That figure represents a modest but steady 1% increase over 2019, but a significant 5% increase over 2023. And that growth is largely supported by really strong internal demand within Europe itself.
Ah, so Europeans traveling within Europe.
Precisely. It indicates that European citizens are themselves choosing to explore their own diverse continent. It fuels this continuous kind of sustainable cycle of intra-European tourism. Its rich history, the cultural diversity, efficient infrastructure, it just continues to make it an irresistible draw.
Okay, so Europe remains the steady, strong favorite. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But you hinted at some regions seeing truly explosive growth. Where are those dramatic shifts happening, and what's fueling them?
Yeah, this is where things get really dynamic. The Middle East, for instance, it saw the largest increase overall, a phenomenal 32% rise compared to 2019. That brought its total arrivals to 95 million.
32%.
Incredible, right? This region has clearly invested heavily in tourism infrastructure, new experiences. Think new luxury resorts, groundbreaking cultural attractions, significantly improved flight connectivity, strategic global marketing campaigns. And that investment is demonstrably paying off with this phenomenal growth. It's attracting travelers looking for unique cultural experiences, luxury, maybe emerging adventure tourism too. And then there's Japan. It experienced a truly massive 47% surge in arrivals.
47%.
Yeah, a huge boom. And it's largely attributed to a combination of factors. A weakened yen, for one, which makes travel there significantly more affordable for international visitors. Plus, incredibly effective communication and marketing efforts. They've brilliantly showcased Japan's unique blend of ancient tradition and, futuristic innovation. Africa, too, often overlooked in these discussions, showed impressive growth. 74 million tourists. That's a 7% increase over 2019. And an even more impressive 12% more than in 2023.
These are really compelling regional stories. It's not just recovery, it's like a real diversification of popular destinations.
Exactly. It's a testament to strategic investments and sometimes favorable economic conditions.
Truly incredible. It sounds like the world isn't just open for business again, it's actively reinventing how and where people travel. So, looking ahead, what do these record-breaking figures and regional surges tell us about future projections, and maybe even more crucially, about global spending habits? It seems like people are prioritizing travel more than ever, even if it costs more, right?
Well, the UN World Tourism Organization's forecast for 2025 definitely points to continued strong demand. It suggests this boom isn't just a fleeting moment, but a sustained trend. It'll keep impacting both established and increasingly emerging destinations. And what's really fascinating here is this economic paradox we're seeing in spending. Global tourism spending has hit unprecedented record levels. Accommodation prices alone are up, 10% since 2019, reflecting inflation and demand.
Yeah, you feel that when booking.
Right. Yet despite these noticeably higher costs across the board, travelers are showing remarkable resilience. Almost counterintuitive behavior, really. They're not cutting back. Instead, they're taking more trips. They're choosing to stay longer. And they're ultimately spending more money overall.
That is a paradox. Why do you think that is?
It's complex. It hints at maybe a fundamental reevaluation of travel's role in our lives. Perhaps after periods of restriction, people now view experiences as, non-negotiable investments in their well-being, their mental health. So they're prioritizing them even over escalating costs. It suggests a powerful shift. Travel isn't just a luxury anymore. It's becoming an essential component of modern life. And that's driving a demand that even inflation can't seem to fully suppress.
That's a profound shift in mindset. These global patterns suggest a massive reprioritization of travel and personal budgets. But how does this global picture translate down to individual regions? Or maybe even more specifically, to your own country, wherever you're listening from? Let's zoom in now on Poland. It's a fascinating microcosm of these trends, and we're seeing some really surprising shifts in vacation plans there for 2025.
Indeed. The data from Poland offers a compelling look at how these broader trends manifest nationally, but with some unique local nuances. According to the latest research from CBOS, that's the Center for Public Opinion Research, 51% of Poles are actively planning tourist trips for 2025. Now, that's undeniably a robust number, right? But it does represent a slight decrease, about 3 percentage points from the previous year.
Only slight, but still a dip. What do you make of that?
Well, it's interesting to consider. Is it just a minor blip in the data? Maybe due to temporary economic fluctuations or shifted priorities for a small group? Or could it signal a subtle yet significant trend? Poles may be carefully reevaluating their travel frequency amidst changing economic conditions. It's definitely a point worth monitoring to see if this slight dip continues. Could shape long-term patterns.
That's a curious detail, but it's not just about the overall number of trips, is it? It's also critically about where Poles are choosing to go. Are they mostly sticking to domestic travel, or is there a noticeable shift towards exploring internationally now the world's more open?
This is precisely where we see a really notable dynamic shift in Polish travel preferences. Historically, domestic travel has been very strong. But for 2025, only 41% of Poles planning trips are opting exclusively for domestic travel.
Only 41%. That sounds like a big change.
It is. It marks a significant 7-point drop from the previous year, a clear divergence from past patterns. Now, it's still true that 81% of those planning at least 2-day trips intend to vacation somewhere within Poland, so the appeal of their own country is still strong. But the more striking, maybe forward-looking figure is this. A full half of those, considering overnight stays away from home, are now planning foreign trips.
Half. Okay, that really signals a growing appetite for exploration beyond borders.
Absolutely. A tangible desire to experience different cultures, landscapes, maybe even climates.
That growing appetite for international travel is really remarkable, and it seems to position Poland quite prominently in the broader European travel landscape, doesn't it? How does Polish enthusiasm for travel compare to other European nations?
It absolutely highlights Poland as a key player. The Alliance Partners report they do this International Travel Confidence Index. It underscores Poland's exceptional enthusiasm. A remarkable 78% of Poles are planning a summer trip between June and September. That places them impressively high in Europe. They're tied with the Swiss, actually, just behind the leaders, Italy at 83% and Spain at 80%.
The head of Germany, I see.
Exactly. What's particularly noteworthy is Poland outranking its significant western neighbor, Germany, where only 66% are planning a summer getaway. This robust figure suggests Poles, maybe more than some Western European counterparts, are notably more eager to travel internationally. Could be a mix of things, right? Strong desire for new experiences after restrictions, maybe perceived greater value in foreign trips given budget increases, or just a growing sense of global connectivity and accessibility.
Speaking of budgets, that leads us right to the average Polish family budget for holidays in 2025. It's sitting around 64.31 PLN per household. That's Polish zloty for our listeners. And this figure is up significantly by 1091 PLN from the previous year. What does the substantial allocation tell us about how Poles value vacations?
Well, this substantial increase, over 1,000 zloty more per household, it clearly indicates a significant shift in priorities, a higher perceived value for vacations. They're willing to allocate considerably more financial resources to travel. It suggests holidays are increasingly seen not as just a discretionary luxury you cut back on, but more like an essential investment in well-being, crucial family time, invaluable personal growth. This trend might also reflect a general increase in disposable income, maybe greater confidence in the economy, allowing more spending on leisure. It reinforces that idea. For Polish families, vacations aren't just nice to have anymore. They're a priority worth investing in, really integrated into annual planning.
Okay, so despite this growing international interest and the bigger budgets, are Poles still holding on to their enduring domestic favorites? Or are new interests pulling them away from traditional spots within Poland?
Even with that undeniable growing international curiosity, Poland remarkably remains the most popular destination for 58% of respondents planning trips in their home country. The Baltic seaside still reigns supreme. It attracts 32% of domestic travelers, a classic choice for relaxation, family fun, followed closely by the mountains at 22%, offering active leisure, breathtaking scenery. That split showcases the deep appeal of Poland's natural beauty.
And that connection to nature seems strong overall.
Very strong. Reinforcing this, the travelslaw.pl report indicates a compelling 79% of Poles actually plan to take as many or even more trips in 2024. And what's fascinating here is the rising popularity of nature-based tourism and how it's diversifying. We're seeing more interest in camping, obviously direct immersion in nature, but also stays in agritourism facilities. Farm stays, rural accommodation offering a genuine connection to local life, and frequent visits to national parks like the ancient Białowieża Forest or the stunning Karkonosz Mountains. These places offer this unique blend of pristine natural beauty and diverse opportunities for active leisure. They cater to that growing desire for authentic, outdoorsy experiences you might not always find in more traditional, maybe urban holiday spots. They offer both tranquility and adventure.
It really sounds like whether it's within Poland or heading abroad, people aren't just ready to spend more and travel more, but they're also becoming more discerning about the kind of experiences they're looking for. Which brings us very neatly to a practical concern for many. How exactly do you afford these trips, especially when dreams might be big, but wallets, maybe not so much? So we've explored where people want to go, how much they're willing to spend globally and in Poland. Now let's get really practical. This segment is all about, democratizing rest and relaxation. We fundamentally believe everyone deserves a vacation, right? Regardless of their financial situation or the size of their wallet.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And smart strategic planning is genuinely the key here. It's universal. Whether you're working with a modest, shoestring budget or you're fortunate enough to be ready to splurge on a luxury escape, there are concrete, actionable strategies you can use to maximize your travel experience, get that much-needed break. Without breaking the bank or feeling constrained, it's truly about being strategic, understanding where to put your resources effectively, and recognizing that travel doesn't always have to come with a huge price tag.
Okay, let's begin at the leanest end of the spectrum then. For those meticulously looking for vacations on a shoestring, say under 1,000 PLN per person, is it truly possible to have a fulfilling trip without compromising too much on the actual experience?
It is absolutely possible. I can unequivocally confirm fulfilling vacations under 1,000 PLN per person are far from a myth. The core strategy here, the non-negotiable. Flexibility, that's paramount. This means being genuinely open to traveling during the off-season or maybe the shoulder seasons. That's when prices for flights, trains, accommodation, they typically drop significantly, lower demand. It also involves smartly choosing less popular, maybe lesser-known destinations, places that haven't been totally swamped by tourists yet, where costs are naturally lower. And perhaps most importantly, prioritizing cost-effective public transport. Think regional trains, long-distance buses, over more expensive options like taxis or rental cars. That leads to substantial, immediate savings.
Okay, flexibility is key. What about more specific practical tips?
Right? Consider staying in hostels. They offer incredibly budget-friendly beds, often private room options too nowadays, and they frequently have this vibrant social atmosphere where you can meet other travelers. Very different from often more expensive, isolated hotels. Preparing your own meals is another big one. Shopping at local markets, cooking some of your food. It saves a significant amount compared to eating out for every meal. That inflates a budget fast. And finally, actively seek out free tourist attractions, like sprawling public parks, free walking tours in cities, beautiful public beaches, or take advantage of free museum days. You can easily fill your itinerary with rich experiences without emptying your wallet.
It's truly amazing how much you can achieve with smart planning and a bit of creativity, and it seems Poles are already embracing this idea of frequent, budget-conscious travel. That travelslow.pl finding the average Pole planning 5 trips in 2025, 2 domestic, 1 long haul, 2 shorter foreign trips. It really underscores how achievable frequent, budget-conscious travel can be when you apply these strategies. It paints a picture of accessible adventure.
Exactly. That finding really shows that for many, travel isn't necessarily about one single, grand, expensive trip each year. Instead, it's about intelligently integrating travel more consistently, maybe quarterly, into their lives. Through smart choices, strategic budgeting, being open to different kinds of experiences, it democratizes travel, making it a regular pursuit, not just a rare luxury.
Okay, now let's navigate to what you called the golden mean, that mid-range sweet spot, 1,000 to 3,000 PLN per person. For travelers in this budget range, what kind of smart compromises can they make to achieve comfort without total extravagance? What does that balance look like?
Yeah, this budget range truly is the golden mean. It offers a fantastic balance between cost and comfort, allows for more amenities without feeling excessive. Here, smart compromises typically involve choosing maybe well-appointed apartments or charming guest houses over full-service hotels. You often get more space, kitchen facilities, which cuts down dining costs significantly, and a more authentic local feel, often for a better price. When it comes to meals, it's about finding that balance, enjoying some delicious, thoughtfully chosen restaurant meals for the experience, but also self-catering some breakfast, lunches, maybe simple dinners, and crucially, instead of trying to frantically cram every single attraction into your itinerary, focus on one or two main experiences or regions that are really important to you. Immerse yourself fully rather than rushing. Quality over quantity.
That makes sense. What about traveling with others in this range?
Ah, yes. Another incredibly powerful strategy in this mid-range budget is group travel. Whether it's with friends or extended family, combining resources can significantly reduce costs. You can easily share expenses for accommodation, often priced per room, not per person. Effectively halves or quarters individual costs. Same applies to transport. Sharing taxis, renting a car among several people, group passes for public transport, splitting costs for cooking supplies, or even investing in a private guide for a day. It can make things that might seem pricey much more accessible for everyone. Amplifies the shared joy too.
Right. And for those lucky individuals with a more generous budget, say above 3,000 PLN per person, the world really opens up. But even then, I imagine it's wise to spend thoughtfully. Maximize the richness of the experience, not just the price tag.
Absolutely. You hit on a crucial point. Even with a larger budget, the emphasis should be on spending wisely. Maximize the value, the uniqueness of your experience, not just the cost or sheer opulence. It's quite interesting, actually, that over half of polls, 51%, express a desire for luxurious travel experiences. That's the highest among the surveyed nations.
Highest?
Yeah. It shows a strong aspiration for high-quality, memorable, maybe even indulgent trips. But for those with a bigger budget, the ultimate key is investing in truly unique, profoundly memorable experiences, rather than just booking the most expensive hotel for the sake of it.
Can you give some examples of that, investing in experiences?
Sure. Instead of just a luxury resort stay, think about real immersion. Imagine, maybe, a hands-on cooking course deep in Tuscany. You get cultural immersion and a skill you bring home, much more memorable than just a fancy bed, right? Or picture the view, the exhilaration from a hot air balloon ride over Cappadocia in Turkey. That surreal landscape. It's a visual feast, a memory you'll talk about for years. Unlike just another hotel lobby, hiring a private guide for in-depth cultural immersion, exploring ancient ruins with expert commentary, navigating a complex city with local insights, that can transform a typical sightseeing trip into a deeply enriching, personalized journey. Layers of understanding you wouldn't get otherwise.
So what this all really means for making your trip unforgettable no matter the price tag. It's about prioritizing those profound, unique experiences over just sheer expense. Okay, from planning how to pay for these adventures, we should probably pivot now to something that can often stand squarely in the way of travel entirely, our fears and anxieties. You know, travel fears, they're an incredibly common companion for so many people. It's genuinely important to acknowledge them. And to reassure you, our listener, that you are absolutely not alone in this. Many of us, myself included, sometimes grapple with anxieties when it comes to venturing into the unknown, whether it's the journey logistics or just the unfamiliarity of a new place.
That's a fundamentally crucial point. Travel-related anxieties are remarkably prevalent. They manifest in all sorts of forms, from mild apprehension to debilitating phobias. Understanding how common these fears are, and more importantly, confronting the factual reality behind them. That can be a significant empowering step towards managing them effectively and ultimately unlocking a much more enjoyable, less stressful travel experience.
Let's start with maybe one of the most widespread, often discussed ones. Fear of flying, aviophobia. It impacts so many aspiring travelers.
It absolutely does. According to IATA, a substantial 20% of all travelers experience some degree of fear of flying, ranging from mild discomfort to significant apprehension. And within that group, about 1/5, so roughly 4% of all travelers suffer from a clinical phobia so severe that the mere thought of air travel is unbearable, often leads them to avoid flying entirely. To put it in broader context, it's estimated up to 40% of industrialized populations experience some form of flight anxiety. That's about 25 million people in the U.S. alone.
40% experience some form. That's huge.
It is. However, what's quite empowering to note is that despite these profound anxieties, a significant majority, 57% of those affected, still manage to force themselves onto a plane, which demonstrates incredible courage, resilience, and this powerful underlying desire to overcome their fears for the sake of travel.
That's a really compelling statistic, shows people's determination. And there's also some incredibly compelling data that counters these fears, right? Showing just how statistically safe flying actually is. Reality often defies perception here.
Absolutely. This is where scientific reality often starkly contrasts with emotional perception fueled by anxiety. A groundbreaking 2024 MIT study, for example, definitively showed flying is now approximately 40 times safer than it was back in the 1960s.
40 times safer.
Just pause on that. 40 times. That's a monumental improvement in safety protocols, technology, training, everything. And CBS News, using meticulous data from the National Transportation Safety Board, reported that last year, an astonishingly low 0.02% of domestic flights were involved in any incident whatsoever.
0.02%. Tiny.
Exactly, 0.02%. To grasp the scale and safety, consider the FAA handles, on average, 45,000 flights every single day in the U.S. Put it in that perspective, actual accidents are incredibly rare, isolated events, making air travel demonstrably one of the safest modes of transport on the planet.
Okay, the stats are compelling, but what about coping mechanisms for those still struggling?
Right. There are many proven effective methods. Participating in specialized fear of flying courses, often offered by airlines or psychological clinics, can be incredibly effective. Education, practical techniques. Practicing breathing and relaxation techniques like deep diaphragmatic breathing or progressive muscle relaxation, that helps manage anxiety in the moment. And critically, educating yourself about aviation safety protocols, understanding how planes work, the rigorous checks, the redundancies built in, that can demystify the process, reduce the unknown elements that often fuel fear. Knowledge really is power here.
Okay. Moving from the skies to the seas. What about fears related to cruises and seasickness? I know many people are hesitant about ocean journeys despite their popularity.
It's another common, understandable area of concern, and Line's global study found 53% of respondents actively avoid cruises. Due to a range of worries, incidents on ships, fear of illness spreading, seasickness itself, or even the remote possibility of disaster.
Over half avoid them due to fear.
Seems so. However, the factual reality is significantly reassuring. Modern cruise ships are engineering marvels. True floating cities, built with the absolute highest safety standards. They have advanced navigation, stability systems, cutting-edge medical facilities, robust emergency protocols. They undergo stringent, regular inspections, adhere to comprehensive international maritime regulations, all designed for passenger safety above all else.
And what about managing seasickness itself? That's a big one for many.
Right. It's a common physiological response to unfamiliar motion. But there are numerous practical tips that can make a huge difference. Avoiding alcohol before or during travel can help, as it can worsen nausea. Taking antiemetic medications before you even feel unwell is a preventative, often much more effective than waiting for symptoms. And strategically, staying in the central part of the ship, closer to the center of gravity. That's where the rolling and pitching motion is the least, most stable experience. What's more, many people find their susceptibility to seasickness often diminishes significantly over time. With experience, the body gradually adapts, making later cruises more comfortable.
It really sounds like, for many travel fears, understanding the true facts and having a practical plan can make all the difference, turning apprehension into anticipation. Okay, from overcoming individual hurdles, let's look at a fascinating dynamic shift in how people prefer to travel alone or with others. All right, let's dive into a truly significant trend that's reshaping the entire travel landscape. Solo travel. It used to be seen by some as maybe a bit unusual, intimidating even, but now it's becoming incredibly mainstream, experiencing a real boom.
You're absolutely right. The statistics around solo travel are quite compelling. They speak to this powerful shift in individual priorities. A remarkable 58% of people actively plan to travel solo in 2024. That's huge. And the market growth projections are even more astonishing. The global solo travel market, valued at $482.5 billion in 2024. And projected to skyrocket to an incredible $1.5 trillion by 2033.
$1.5 trillion just for solo travel.
Trillion, yes. This isn't just a fleeting trend. It's a fundamental long-term shift in how many individuals are choosing to experience the world, placing personal exploration right at the forefront. What's particularly fascinating here is the demographic breakdown and the profound motivations driving this. A compelling statistic reveals that a significant 84% of solo travelers are women.
84% women.
Yeah.
Wow.
It highlights this powerful, empowering movement of female independence, self-reliance, adventurous spirit in travel. As for why people travel alone, a striking 75% do so for deeply personal benefits, including profound self-care, opportunities for introspection, significant improvements to mental health. It's clearly about much more than just ticking off places. It's a journey of internal growth, self-discovery, rejuvenation. And of those who took a solo journey in 2024, 36% are already planning another 4 to 5 solo trips in 2025. It indicates that once people experience the unique benefits, they often become committed, repeat solo adventurers.
It certainly sounds like a deeply personal, transformative journey for many. What about the younger generations? Millennials, Gen Z. Are they driving this even further? What compels them?
Definitely. A comprehensive 2024 Forbes report highlights that an overwhelming 76% of millennials and Gen Z are planning solo trips. For these generations, the primary drivers seem deeply rooted in personal development, self-discovery. They're actively seeking opportunities to build independence, resilience, push their boundaries, test limits, and profoundly learn about themselves in unfamiliar, maybe challenging environments. A substantial majority, 61% of solo travelers from these groups, also do these trips specifically for deep relaxation. To genuinely unwind from the relentless pressures of modern life, this quest for autonomy, for a dedicated space that just be without external pressures, expectations, or the need for compromise, it's an incredibly powerful draw. Especially in our hyper-connected world, it's a precious chance to truly tune into oneself, away from all the noise.
That sense of freedom, self-discovery, it clearly holds immense appeal. However, here's where a significant financial implication comes in. Often surprises people. Solo travelers pay almost 90% more than couples for vacations, or, on average, 47% more than an individual traveling as part of a pair. So what does this all mean for your wallet if you go it alone? And despite this clear solo surcharge, are people still willing to pay it?
It's an incredibly significant point, widely called the solo surcharge or single supplement.
Yeah.
This cost disparity basically arises because many core travel components, especially accommodation, cruise cabins, organized tours, are primarily priced assuming double occupancy. If you're alone, you're effectively absorbing the cost of that second empty spot. So yes, it unequivocally means a noticeably higher per-person cost. However, despite this clear financial disadvantage, the desire for that profound personal growth, the unique benefits of solo travel, they're so potent that a remarkable 62% of surveyed individuals still plan 2 to 5 solo trips in 2025.
62%, even knowing it costs more.
Exactly. This statistic profoundly illustrates that for a substantial number of people, the psychological and personal return on investment, the growth, the freedom, the self-discovery, it far outweighs the direct financial cost. It's a powerful testament to the value placed on self-exploration.
That really is a testament to the value people place on solo exploration. But of course, traveling in pairs or groups still holds its enduring appeal, right? Especially for practicalities and shared experiences.
Absolutely. The financial advantages of traveling in pairs or groups are pretty obvious and immediate. Couples or groups can easily share expenses for transport, accommodation, attractions. A hotel room or Airbnb costs the same whether 1 or 2 people are in it, usually. So the per-person cost is immediately halved for a pair. This cost-sharing extends to shared taxis, rental cars, bulk discounts on tours, stuff that might be too pricey for one person. Beyond finances, the benefits shift dramatically. While solo travel fosters personal development, independence. Group travel excels at strengthening social support, creating deeply shared memories, navigating new places with companionship, shared responsibility. It really boils down to your current goals for a trip, doesn't it? By seeking self-discovery, or deepening connections, sharing experiences, creating collective memories. Each style offers distinct, immensely valuable rewards, caters to different needs, aspirations.
That makes perfect sense. Inner growth or shared memories. The choice depends on what you're really seeking. Now, let's move to another classic travel dilemma, one that consistently evokes strong opinions and lively debate. All right, time for one of the oldest, most passionately debated vacation choices. Sea versus mountains. For many, it's not just preference, it's a fundamental decision shaping their whole holiday. And here's where insights from recent studies get really compelling. The numbers on this perennial question might just surprise you.
Indeed, it's a debate that always brings out strong feelings. Polling data, particularly from a detailed ABC News Washington Post study in the U.S., gives us some clear perspectives. They found a significant 72% of Americans express a preference for beach vacations, while 66% lean towards mountains. So generally speaking, the sea holds a consistent lead, and this preference is even more pronounced when we look at strong popularity. The sea maintains a solid 10-point advantage there. This indicates a deeply ingrained, widespread preference for coastal escapes for a substantial portion of the population. Maybe reflects a collective longing for relaxation, sun, water.
That's a pretty clear lead for the sea overall. But do these preferences shift across different demographics, like gender differences? Or how do families influence this choice?
They absolutely do. And these demographic differences are fascinating, adding layers of nuance. For instance, looking at gender, women are noticeably 11 percentage points more likely to choose the sea over mountains. And this deepens significantly when looking at definite preferences. 19 points more women definitely prefer the sea. Suggests the multifaceted appeal of the seaside's serene beauty. Perceived safety, comfort, aesthetics, relaxation opportunities resonates more strongly with women.
Interesting. And what about families? You mentioned them earlier.
Yes, and for families, the preference for the coast is even more pronounced. And understandable. Parents with children under 18 show a significantly strong, consistent preference for beach vacations. An overwhelming 83% opt for them. That's a full 15 points higher than adults without children.
So what does this tell us about families planning their next trip? Why do you think beaches hold such a strong appeal for them specifically?
Well, for families, especially with younger kids, the beach offers a relatively simple, contained, inherently engaging environment. Kids can play in the sand, splash safely in shallow water, burn off endless energy, often needing less structured activity or constant supervision compared to very, maybe challenging mountain terrain. It's considerably easier to set up a base towels, toys, snacks, and let children explore within a safe, visible area. This inherent ease of entertainment, the potential for a more relaxed experience for parents, likely contributes significantly to that strong preference among families. Minimal fuss, maximum fun.
Makes sense. What about regional differences?
We see intriguing regional preferences in the U.S. too. Shows how geography and local culture play a role. The sea clearly triumphs over mountains by 17 points in the Northeast, 10 points in the South. Regions with extensive coastlines establish beach cultures. However, in the western regions where you have the Rockies, Sierras dominating the landscape mountains actually pull ahead, favored by 76% compared to 70% for the coast. Highlights how geographical proximity, ingrained local activities, accessibility can profoundly influence vacation preferences, shapes what people naturally gravitate towards.
It's clear that while the sea generally wins the popularity contest, it's definitely not universal. But beyond just preference, what about the inherent benefits of each environment? And do broader socioeconomic factors play a role in these choices?
Looking at intrinsic benefits, natural environments, generally beach or mountain, offer greater mental health benefits compared to urban settings. Calming effect of nature, reduced noise, physical activity opportunities, all positive. But mountains specifically offer unique advantages. Abundant active recreation, hiking, climbing, skiing, appeal of pristine, clean air, profound, direct contact with wild nature. Caters powerfully to those seeking adventure, physical challenge, solitude, a deep connection with wilderness. Socioeconomic factors do add another poignant layer. Interestingly, among ethnic groups in the U.S. data, white individuals are significantly more enthusiastic about mountain vacations, 75% preference, compared to 49% of non-white individuals. This disparity could stem from a complex interplay of historical land access, cultural traditions, accessibility, marketing, shaping recreational patterns over time.
And you mentioned income disparity too.
Yes, and perhaps most poignantly, the data reveals a compelling finding. Positive opinions for both sea and mountain vacations notably decrease among lower-income individuals. This tragically suggests that for those constantly preoccupied with daily financial struggles, making ends meet, the luxury of debating beach versus mountain becomes secondary. If not entirely irrelevant, their focus is overwhelmingly on fundamental needs, housing, food, security, not leisure preferences. It's a powerful, humbling reminder. While we enthusiastically discuss these fascinating choices for a significant portion of the population, the very concept of any vacation remains a distant, often unattainable aspiration.
That's a crucial, somber perspective to remember amidst all the exciting trends. Okay, from these enduring debates about classic destinations, let's turn our attention fully now to the cutting-edge trends, those poised to define how and where people travel in 2025 and beyond. Now let's shift gears and look directly to the future. These are the truly innovative, exciting trends set to define holidays in 2025. They're profoundly shaping how we explore the world, what we seek from our adventures. All right, let's dive into these cutting-edge concepts.
Indeed. These emerging trends represent significant shifts in traveler mindsets, desires. Moving beyond traditional tourism, the first one we're seeing gain momentum is noctourism, night tourism. This isn't just about traditional nightlife like bars or clubs. It's a conscious, intentional, often serene exploration of destinations after dark. Experiencing a place when its character fundamentally changes. When city lights create new panoramas, stars emerge clearly. Or when different, often quieter, more reflective activities become possible, things you just can't do during the day.
That sounds incredibly atmospheric, offers a completely different perspective. So what does this all mean for experiencing a destination in a whole new, maybe more intimate light? Can you give some examples?
It means seeing a familiar place with entirely new eyes, or seeking unique experiences only possible after sunset. Imagine maybe stargazing in the vast, unpolluted, silent skies of the Moroccan desert. The Milky Way stretching out, awe-inspiring detail far from light pollution. Or consider the exhilarating hunt for the northern lights, the aurora borealis, in Arctic regions like Iceland or Norway. A true bucket list nocturnal spectacle. Even in big cities, it could mean taking tranquil evening cruises on the Seine in Paris. Illuminated monuments like the Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, a different romantic, reflective perspective. Or exploring vibrant night markets in Southeast Asia. They come alive with a unique symphony of sights, sounds, tantalizing flavors, totally distinct from daytime. It's about tapping into the magic, the mystery, the often overlooked tranquility of the destination once the daytime hustle subsides.
Okay, noctourism. What's next?
The second megatrend gaining traction is coolcations. This is a direct, practical, strategic response to rising global temperatures, those intense heat waves we're seeing more often. Travelers are, quite rationally, increasingly seeking cooler destinations, especially during traditional peak summer months. Instead of chasing sun and scorching climates like the Med in August, people are consciously opting for places like Scandinavia, the British Isles, maybe high-altitude mountain regions, places that naturally offer more temperate, comfortable weather. It allows for more enjoyable outdoor activities, sightseeing, relaxation, without the risks of heat exhaustion. Fundamentally about comfort, well-being, avoiding extremes.
Cooltations. Makes sense. And the third one?
And then we have the clever, increasingly popular trend of destination dupes. This powerfully speaks to a growing desire for authenticity, genuine value, and a wish to consciously avoid overcrowded, often overhyped tourist traps. It intelligently involves choosing less traveled, often more affordable places that offer strikingly similar experiences, aesthetics, or vibes to popular, famous, expensive destinations, but at a fraction of the cost and, crucially, with far fewer crowds. For example, instead of crowded Venice canals, maybe choose the charming canal-laced town of Annecy in France. Similar romantic ambience. Instead of the expensive, sometimes overdeveloped Maldives, perhaps the quieter, pristine islands of Southeast Asia, like the Philippines or Indonesia. More authentic, value-driven tropical paradise. This trend caters to a savvy, discerning traveler, wants the essence of an experience without the hype, expense, or feeling like one of thousands.
It's truly insightful to see how these cutting-edge trends are shaping travel, and it's great to see that even with these innovative concepts, that desire to deeply connect with nature, which we saw earlier as a major driving force for Polish travelers, is still a huge foundational element, right?
Absolutely. It's not just reinforcing, it's a foundational, deepening trend. That significant connection with nature we talked about, especially strong among Polish travelers, is clearly a primary driver for 2025. It intertwines beautifully with these new concepts. The travelslow.pl portal indicates 79% of Poles plan as many or more trips in 2024, and a significant chunk of this growth is explicitly fueled by this deepening nature connection. But it's not just traditional camping anymore, though that's still popular. Agritourism, for instance, is evolving significantly, no longer just basic farm stays. Increasingly, these places offer high-quality services, comfortable accommodation, expertly curated, authentic rural experiences. Allows visitors to truly connect with local culture, participate in farm activities, immerse themselves in the peaceful rhythm of the countryside. Similarly, Polish National Park's Białystok Forest, with its bison, the Karkonosz Mountains with unique glacial features, are drawing tourists. They offer immersive experiences in pristine nature, not just breathtaking scenery, but ample opportunities for active leisure cycling, kayaking, climbing, hiking. This blend of quality, nature, authenticity is a powerful growing draw for 2025. Shows how the fundamental desire for nature is getting more sophisticated, integrated into diverse, innovative travel styles.
What an absolutely fantastic and insightful journey through the dynamic world of 2025 travel. We've truly covered a vast amount of ground in this deep dive into holidays in 2025, from global economic shifts to deeply personal motivations. Let's quickly but thoroughly recap the most important insights, the key takeaways from our discussion today.
First, and maybe most strikingly, the global travel industry hasn't just recovered, it's unequivocally booming. We saw that astonishing 1.4 billion international tourists in 2024. Record revenue expected to continue into 2025. Underscores that enduring human desire to explore, connect, experience.
And second, a really empowering takeaway. Vacations are genuinely achievable for every budget, no matter your financial situation. Whether you're looking for flexible, meticulously planned, low-cost options where every penny counts, or wisely investing in unique, luxurious experiences that create unforgettable, high-value memories. There's a strategic approach, a practical path for you to get on your next adventure.
Third, we tackle those very real, common travel fears head on. While anxieties, especially fear of flying, are prevalent, affecting up to 20% of travelers, we also highlighted how significantly these are mitigated by incredible, improving safety stats. Flying is 40 times safer than the 60s, and effective coping strategies are readily available.
Fourth, solo travel. It's far more than just a passing trend. It's a rapidly growing, deeply transformative phenomenon. With 58% planning solo travel, it clearly offers profound personal benefits, self-discovery, mental health boosts, independence, even with that notable solo surcharge or single supplement that solo travelers often face due to pricing models.
Fifth, that age-old debate, sea versus mountains, still a defining choice. While the sea is generally preferred by a clear majority, 72% U.S. preference over 66% for mountains, and especially strong among women and families, regional differences, individual aspirations offer diverse, valid choices, something for everyone.
And finally, we explored that exciting frontier of new trends shaping future holidays. Innovative concepts like noctourism exploring after dark, Coolcation's response to rising temps, destination dupes, authentic experiences, better value. They're actively redefining how and where people travel in 2025. And this evolution runs parallel to that deepening appreciation for nature, particularly strong and sophisticated among Polish travelers opting for quality agritourism and national park experiences.
So given this incredible diversity of options, insights, transformative trends in 2025 travel, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as you look ahead. What is the deepest, most authentic desire you truly hope to fulfill with your next vacation? Is it forging deeper connections with loved ones, passionately discovering new cultures, expanding horizons, achieving profound self-renewal, introspection, or simply finding pure escape, unadulterated relaxation from the daily grind? How can you thoughtfully align the practicalities, the exciting possibilities we discussed today with your ultimate travel purpose to make your next trip not just memorable, but truly meaningful and deeply satisfying?
And remember, your glass can always be half full, brimming with possibility, especially when you're thinking about your next big adventure. Until next time, travel safely, travel wisely, and keep exploring.